Hello everyone. Today I will be talking to you about the tragic tale of the Titanic. Now before I begin, I would like to share something I found to be very interesting when I was researching about the Titanic. Morgan Robinson, an American writer, wrote a book about an unsinkable ship called the Titan that set sail from England to New York with many rich and famous passengers on board. It was called The Wreck of the Titan. The story told of the Titan hitting an iceberg and sinking. Furthermore, many lives were lost. Now, why exactly am I telling you this? Because crazily enough, Morgan Robinson wrote The Wreck of the Titan 14 years before the Titanic actually sank. Amazing, right? The tragedy of the Titanic was one of the largest disasters and still one of the most famous tragedies in history. First, I will discuss the Titanic itself. Secondly, I will discuss the sinking of the ship. Then lastly, I will discuss the movie that was made about it. The Titanic was thought to be the largest, safest, and most luxurious ship ever built. At the time of her launch, she was the biggest existing ship and the largest movable object ever. The beautiful accommodations of the Titanic were decorated and furnished with only the finest items. At the time of her unveiling, the Titanic was widely believed to be the safest ship ever built. Now that I have discussed the Titanic itself, I will now discuss the tragedy that occurred on its maiden voyage. The beginning of this voyage was mostly uneventful in the terms of tragedy. All the passengers were enjoying the ship's many amenities such as a swimming pool, library, and a squash court. The weather was perfect for sailing. There was a blue sky, light winds, and a calm ocean. The journey took a horrible turn when the ship struck an iceberg. In the book, Titanic, an Illustrated History from 1992, the author explained that the collision occurred at 11:40 p.m. on Sunday, April 14th. Some of the ship's watertight compartments had been punctured, and the first 5 compartments rapidly filled with water. As the ship went down, some were rescued, but the majority of passengers had no place to go. Thresh, 1992, stated that there were only 20 lifeboats on the ship. This was only enough for about half of the 2,200 people that were on board. The lifeboats were filled quickly with women and children loaded first. The ship eventually disappeared from sight. Lynch, 1992, reported that in the end, 1,522 lives were lost. Now that we have learned about the Titanic's tragedy, I will discuss the movie that was made about it. A movie about the Titanic and a group of fictional characters were made. The movie was written, produced, and directed by James Cameron. Cameron conducted 6 months of research to compile a highly detailed timeline so that the film would be realistic. Making Titanic was extremely expensive and involved much hard work. It's said that the film had a $250 million budget. In the end, of course, the movie was an extreme success. It made approximately $1.8 billion worldwide and is also the #1 movie of all time. I first discussed the Titanic itself. Then I discussed the sinking of the ship. Then lastly, I discussed the movie that was made about it. The sinking of the Titanic is still one of the most famous tragedies in history. The story, The Wreck of the Titan, written 14 years before the Titanic sank, seems as though it were a tragic prophecy or vision of the disastrous future. Thank you for listening.